Good afternoon. It is 12:30 p.m. on August 31st, 2023, and welcome to Agonas Kata Paris Mas. This is a podcast dedicated to understanding the exact thing I just said in Greek, which can be roughly translated as the struggle against the trial. What is so hard about the world, and why do we have to struggle through it? This is a podcast dedicated to connecting over that struggle. And today I really want to take some time to frame the whole reason for doing this. See, for a long time, I have thought that I needed to just come up with the right way to think about things. There was an answer, there's an empirical solution to the things that befuddled me. And I kind of realized that if I'm going to go through this life, and if the solution to everything is just convincing people that I'm right and they're wrong, or conversely, if they're right and I'm wrong, and then all we need to do is just debate great with each other, and that's the solution, well, I don't think we have much of a future as humanity. And so really this podcast is less dedicated to coming up with great answers and more dedicated to diving into, we'll call it a phenomenology of struggle, an understanding of what is exactly hard about things, about life, and digging into why it's so hard and that tension that it creates in our lives. And hopefully that reveals, I don't know, what's good, what's right, what's true. So I promise you a couple things: honesty, authenticity. I do not promise you clarity. Anybody who knows me knows that that's a promise I cannot make in good faith. So today I just want to set up what we're doing. See, one of my favorite books ever is The Brothers Karamazov. It's by Dostoevsky, who also wrote Crime and Punishment. Wonderful author, Russian, a lot of great Russian tropes. It's winter all the time. The devil is a character, but the main plot of the story is essentially the relationship between these three brothers and their father, who dies pretty early in the book, so it's not really a spoiler. He dies and he's actually murdered. And prime suspect number one is the oldest brother. See, the oldest brother was the one who never really got a hang of himself. He was kind of a philanderer, hung around town, wasn't really making anything of himself, and really on face of it, him murdering the father makes a lot of sense because there is a financial reason. He didn't think that he had gotten his inheritance. If he kills the father, then maybe he'll get all the money that he needs. And sure enough, the night of his father's murder, he does show up to a local inn and throws a bunch of money around that a lot of people are sort of suspicious of him having. But the two other brothers actually are pretty cool. Middle one makes something of himself. He goes off, lives in Moscow. He's like a lawyer, a clerk, something like that. But really, small town kid, made it big in the big city. And the third child is like a saint walking on the ground, Alyosha. He he belongs to the local monastery. His mentor is this man who's pretty much set up to be a saint in Dostoevsky's writing, but a man of God and well respected too in the local monastery. So you got these three brothers, and you've got their dead father. And really, as opposed to it being some sort of true crime story, oh, hey, somebody's murdered and who did it? It really turns into a story of responsibility. What is your responsibility to the people you're closest to? See, The Brothers Karamazov is a hard story. It's a hard story to struggle with because we all come from families, not where there is a clear screw up and everybody else is good, but from families that are complicated. And that as much as our siblings or ourselves reach success, it's also sort of done in the shadow of all of the other things we've screwed up. And less than the oldest brother being blamed for everything, I think the reason why the book is so brilliant is because it kind of asks this question of what good is success, accomplishment, even a life devoted to faith? What good is that if it doesn't save the people that you love? It doesn't matter if you're a monk, if your brother murders your father. How holy could you possibly be? And that's the struggle that we all deal with. Because on the one hand, I'd like to look at my life and say, hey, here's the successes. Look at what I've accomplished. Look at what I've done. But on the other hand, of course, there are people that are close to me that I've hurt. And so what good is me being a person who's dedicated to ministry, dedicated to justice for my community, if at the same time I'm leaving, a legacy of broken relationships, if I'm partly to blame for the screw-ups of the people who are closest to me? That's struggle right there. So thank you for this time. And I look forward to this season of exploring these things with you.